We have a great pair of presenters joining us today once again, and we'd like to thank those who joined us last week. Last week, we had Dr. John Wenzel from South Africa, the CEO of Ayiku Group, who gave us some great nuggets in what investors are looking for. The previous week, we started off our series of innovation, second round of series of innovation boot camp with Professor Bennett, teaching us on how to build a sustainable business model. And we had a great discussion around the nuggets, the steps, the building blocks of a great business model. So I want to thank you all who've been joining us, but today we're excited to welcome one of our own within the E4Impact family, Andrews Ayiku from Ghana, who is the West African Operations Manager of E4Impact Foundation, and I will introduce him in detail as he comes on to speak. We are also joined by an entrepreneur of note, all the way from Ghana as well, Cecil Senna Nutakor, who is a leading authority in the use of technology in Ghana. So I want to welcome our presenters today and thank you for taking the time out to join us today. Our presenters in, maybe you can switch on your videos, we see you. Right, there we are. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Great. So before they come on, I'm just going to do a brief introduction of who we are, who is E4Impact, and what are we up to in this space of entrepreneurship. So allow me to share my screen. Right. I hope that's clear to everybody. So we're passionate about building impact entrepreneurs, and I say this every week passionately to say we are passionate about building entrepreneurs who are not only conscious of profit, but who are solution providers. They say that entrepreneurs, the training that I did today, entrepreneurs are the glue of a society. So we want to build entrepreneurs that are conscious of building achieving economic growth, profit within their personal enterprises, impacting their economies positively, and as well as impacting their communities in terms of social impact, and also being conscious of the environment that they're in, and building models that impact the environment positively. So we are passionate about training entrepreneurship, and in partnership with the Catholic University of Milan, we, E4Impact, are a spin-off. We were founded by the Catholic University of Milan in order to train a new generation of impact entrepreneurs across Africa. Our vision is to build the largest Pan-African alliance with universities across Africa and Asia, and build business models and programs. And currently we run an Global Impact MBA in entrepreneurship and a certificate. We have accelerators and where we hold workshops and trainings in all aspects of entrepreneurship and building a strong ecosystem around entrepreneurship. We partner with universities that are equally passionate about building entrepreneurs that have social, economic, and environmental, positive environmental impact. And most importantly, is building that ecosystem that allows entrepreneurs to grow. And we partner with institutions, private corporates, organizations, policymakers all across Italy, Africa, in order to build entrepreneurs and value chains and money corridors that will be able to scale businesses. We want to build entrepreneurs that don't only think about small growth, but who think about huge scale that is global. What are the benefits of joining the E4Impact family? Join us through our programs, join us, and we thank you for joining us on these webinars that we've been holding, because we're passionate about making sure that certain platforms that build investment, impact investment, are obtained by our students or entrepreneurs. The alumni is daily growing as new additions join the programs and other editions graduate. We've just had celebrations of over 9 to 10 editions that have graduated in the last earlier on this year, and that is we're boasting of over 2,000 entrepreneurs that have gone through our programs. So it's a strong alumni across Africa to link with. This also increases the market share. We are encouraging growing, scaling operations. We've got students who have grown into other countries, having started with an office in one country only. 31% of our alumni have got access to finance. It's a daily battle and focus to be able to give our students and / entrepreneurs access to finance. So therefore we partner with banks, we partner with institutions and organizations that allow access to financing. We're passionate about building strong models. We have boot camps throughout the programs. That is your business strategy boot camp, your finance boot camp, your go-to-market boot camp, and the investors boot camp, where we are emphasizing building skills and using tools, the business canvas model, which allow you to focus on increasing your turnover in your organization. So strategic partners, collaboration, synergies is something we're very passionate about, and we encourage everyone to come on board. Our programs are very flexible and acknowledging that we want entrepreneurs to be able to come into class, learn the different frameworks, models that allow them to build enterprises of note and be able to go out and implement. We want a case where entrepreneurs walk out of a lecture with an action point that they can start implementing the very next day. So actionable tools are very critical and a large component of our program designs and our curriculum. We want international recognition and footprint. So we work with entrepreneurs and faculties from all over the world, as far as the States, Europe, and across Africa itself, with our Pan-African team, where we are encouraging a cross-pollination of ideas on how to define entrepreneurship the way we understand it, and also understand that we are in a global village. Coaching and mentoring is very important. So even that international feel, we are building a mentorship family where we have mentors from all over coming in and doing group mentoring, one-on-one mentoring. We encourage mentoring and coaching as well. And we run a business coaching academy where we have a business coach attached to every country who works one-on-one. Our entrepreneurs are at idea stage, they're at growth stage, they're at startup stage. So we have business coaches whose job is to sit and have one-on-ones with the entrepreneurs and allow them to be able to get into the program and grow to a point where they are able to scale. Links to local partners. We have links, we encourage program leaders in each country who run our programs to build an ecosystem around the program, work with captains of industry in the place, work with institutional partners that influence policy, work with governments and the policymakers themselves. So, and as we said, access to investors locally, regionally, internationally. Linkages to Italian businesses, of course, are natural. We encourage this through B2B fairs where the students have gone to Milan for 2 weeks to be able to exhibit, to meet other business, have business meetings. And we encourage you to come on board to gain even a diploma with the Catholic University of Milan itself. And we encourage gender and the gender opportunities for women to join the program. We encourage the youth to join the program. So we are encouraging you. We have programs that have started today. We are going to talk about Ethiopia. Contact Mikidela in July. An edition is starting, an MBA edition is starting. In Rwanda, they've just started in June, so run along and to the University of Rwanda and join the edition that has just started there. In Eswatini, we are hoping, we want an edition to start in September 2021. Andrews, who's here today, if you have any questions for him, with the University of Professional Studies, is starting a new edition in October 2021. And in Egypt, for the mini MBA in Impact Entrepreneurship, we have Farida waiting to talk to you. And in South Africa, Unene is hoping to start an edition in July. Please come through and talk to us. So go to the chat room. You are able to ask for any information. We are currently in a total of 18 countries where we are working and growing. You can find us on all our social medias platforms. And if you want to find out if your country has not been mentioned here, don't worry. Please just put it in the chat room. We'll be able to give you the contacts of the program leaders and the area managers of that country that you are in. So that's in short who we are as E4Impact. I will stop sharing the screen and I will introduce our first speaker. So our first speaker is Andrews Ayiku, is the West African Operations E4Impact Foundation manager and lecturer and a coordinator of the MBA Impact Entrepreneurship and Innovation at the University of Professional Studies in Accra. He's also a visiting lecturer at the University of Makeni, Sierra Leone since 2015. Andrews has worked in management levels at various financial institutions and has expertise in helping and training startups and entrepreneurs to develop sustainable business models and think creatively about how they impact their communities. He holds a Doctor of Business Administration, an MBA in Marketing, a postgraduate diploma in Management, and a Bachelor of Business Administration. He's an associate member of the Chartered Institute of Marketing in Ghana. So, wow, we can't wait to hear what you have to share with us. Welcome once again, Andrews, and I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you very much, Beta. Can you give me access for my slides, please?
All right, host, if you could give him access to share the slides. In the meantime, how is Ghana? How's Accra today?
Accra is great, and we are waiting to just start our new class.
Yes,
we just finished the exams. Yes, we are graduating the 6th edition in August, and we can't wait to produce more entrepreneurs for Ghana as they grow. So thank you very much, Betha, for the opportunity, and I'm excited about this opportunity to share. And basically, what I'm going to talk about today is going to be based on experience, on what I've been doing, and I've been doing pitching. I've been helping people to pitch for the past 8 to 10 years. So basically, I know that people will clearly understand where I'll be coming from. It's not going to be theoretical, and I'll be hoping that you ask a lot of questions. We are ready to do follow-up questions, and then E4Impact has a story to tell. So let's start. So for today, the focus is going to be on learning on how to pitch in front of investors. So when you identify the investors, how are you going to pitch to them? What processes are you going to use to pitch to them? How will you know how to pitch, when to pitch, how to even organize yourself when you are pitching? The first thing I want us to consider is that a pitch is a story. And my other colleague, Cecil, who is one of our key stars in Ghana, because we helped him, we coached him to pitch. And since 2014, whatever we have taught him over the period is what has helped him to pitch. He has pitched all over the world. And I can't wait to finish to even listen to him more. So when we talk about pitching, pitching is a story. So who are you and what is your journey? So when you are going to pitch, you start with the pain. Or what is exciting about your idea? People start pitching and they start mentioning their names. They start talking about things. The investor is not interested in that. Then the investor is interested in what is exciting about you. What is exciting about the business idea? The story should be able to tell the investor what is the market opportunity. Is there an opportunity for whatever you want to do? You need to trigger, you need to stimulate something that the investor will understand clearly that there's a customer segment. So when you are pitching, you don't go out to pitch like you are selling your product to everybody. The investor knows, the investor has done a research. So you should understand how to demonstrate the market opportunity. And in demonstrating the market opportunity, you should be able to demonstrate the available market for you. So there's a market segment, there's a customer segment. You need to identify where is my target. And that is what you tell the investor. And remember, whatever you are producing, there are other people producing the same thing. The investor has so much knowledge about it. So he's interested in what is your differentiation strategy. How does it differentiate you from the other products on the market? What is the freshness? What is the newness that you are bringing onto the market? And this should be part of your story. When you are pitching your story, as I said, you are not just pitching anything, you are pitching the story. And the story should be able to demonstrate the nature of your business, how is your business is going to work, and what are the central components of your business. And please remember, your business may not be able to do everything. So what is the nature of your business and how does it work and what are the processes involved? The investor will be interested in the story that tells him how you're going to make money. He's not just bringing money to you. He wants to know how you are going to turn the money around. And turning the money around is not magic. You need to demonstrate the revenue model, your financial understanding of what you want to sell. How much does it cost? And the investor will also be interested in what impact are you going to generate onto your society, onto the people around you, the environment as well. So please remember, your pitch is your story. Your pitch is like a sales brochure that you are going out to sell. So you make sure that the day, the moment you have an opportunity to pitch, you need to tell your story, either from the angle of the pain that you're trying to solve, or the exciting idea, the freshness, the newness of something that you are bringing onto the market. And then identify the market opportunity and demonstrate the market opportunity. Don't go, for instance, and tell them, I'm selling to everybody in Lusaka, I'm selling to everybody in Freetown, I'm selling to everybody in Accra. That is not a customer segment. There are targets within these customer segments that you need to identify, and that is what E4Impact helps you to do. Through our market research, market analysis course, you're able to identify the market you need to serve. How do you serve them? And then remember, whatever product you are coming out with, there may be other products, there may be competition, there may be competitors, but what is your differentiation strategy is key to enable you to tell a story. Now, when you are going to pitch, the pitch itself, the moment you get the opportunity to pitch, and Cecil will tell you that when you talk about pitching, it's not that anytime you have a platform, but you are in a lift, you meet somebody, you are doing a networking event, and you have an opportunity to talk to somebody. Demonstrate the passion that you have about the idea you are proposing. The moment you have an opportunity to speak to an investor, you are pitching. The moment you have an opportunity to engage somebody on your business, you are pitching. So how passionate are you about the idea you want to sell? Secondly, what are the values that your product or your service bring onto the market? Remember, the customer is interested in his value. The customer will do cost-benefit analysis before even thinking about your product or even about your business idea. And the same applies to the investor. So what is the value? What is your value proposition? What are you selling? What is the solution? Don't ever think that the investor is interested in the problem. He's interested in what you are bringing on board and what you want to solve. And then you need to demonstrate what is the market opportunity. Is there a market opportunity available? In demonstrating the market opportunity, when you have an opportunity, demonstrate the number. What is the population size? What is their personality? What is their income level? What are the demographics? So you don't just demonstrate the market opportunity based on you saying that there are a lot of people in Accra, or there are a lot of people in Freetown, or there are a lot of people in Nigeria. No, you need to demonstrate the number of people, where they are, what do they do, and whether they have the purchasing power to buy your product. So the market opportunity entails a lot, and that is what you need to demonstrate to the investor. And what are your unique values? There should be something unique about you, about your product, about your services, and you need to demonstrate that. The investor speaks to more than 20 people who are interested in his money. So if you are not able to demonstrate your uniqueness in what you want to sell, then please forget about it. And most of us have business ideas, but it's not built on a business model. The business model will tell you the structure of the business, the processes it goes through, and how it works. So whether you are doing rice farming, whether you are into IT, no matter what you are doing, remember that it should be based on a business model. And those of us who have been involved in pitching, most people, when they come, the key question they ask them is that, what is your business based on? And a lot of pitch events I've participated over this number of years. People come and pitch, and it's not based on any model. You want the person to give you money, but how are you going to make money from the money that is going to give you? Think about it. And now investors are interested in the impact. What is the impact of the product? What is the impact of your service? They are asking themselves this question. So don't go and talk to an investor whilst you don't know the impact, the negative impact and the positive impact of the business that you are trying to do. Over the period that I've been talking about, I've been working with entrepreneurs. Some of the mistakes that they do, or some of the mistakes that when we invite investors, and it's very important for you to know that for E4Impact, when you are doing our MBA program, you have the opportunity to pitch your business ideas. We teach you how to pitch. We give the opportunity to stimulate the pitching process. And we bring you live investors, real investors to class for you to pitch. And most of the time, what they tell me is that these businesses, these entrepreneurs, they talk too much. They don't know how to start and end conversations. They go, they talk, and there's no value in their conversations. So can you imagine what happens to you when you go for a network event? When your ability to communicate the value becomes an issue. Secondly, when they are pitching, they get an opportunity to pitch in competitions. They have too many slides. Why? Do you want the investor to read the slides or to listen to you? So the investor is not interested in your slides. He's interested in how you demonstrate your skills, how passionate you are about what you sell. Thirdly, they told me that most of the entrepreneurs they have encountered, they are on autopilot. They just talk. They don't stop. They don't pause. They just keep on talking. How will you get the investor to understand clearly what you are selling? And some of them too, they want to mention every detail. And Cecil will tell you the number of times he pitched before he graduated from our MBA program. So that the pitching itself will become part and parcel of you, where you learn how to present yourself, how to present the solution to investors. Most people too, when they are pitching, the investors will tell you that the pitch is not structured, and they don't practice before they pitch, and they don't even research into the company. There are a lot of competitions now. There are a lot. You see a lot. Every day there's a competition. But you need to research. What do they want? Do I qualify? Do I even have the capacity to compete in such a competition? Now let's talk about the following tips before Cecil comes in. And please send all your questions. Before you think about going to pitch, or before you get yourself involved in the pitch event, understand clearly what is available. Is it debt? Is it equity? What is it? You need to find, is this investor the right person to invest in my business? These are very key questions you need to ask yourself. So whether you are into spices, whether you are into gardening, whether you are into rice farming, whether you are into a Montessori, ask yourself, what kind of investor do I need for my business? And when you understand the kind of investor, then you prepare your pitch deck. And so the initial steps I gave you, that is what you have to, your pitch deck is the story that you're going to tell about your business. Identify the market opportunity. What are your differentiation? What are the unique values of your business? And when you're able to do that, you tell your story. Pitching is about telling story. Storytelling is key when it comes to your pitch to investors. Start by narrating the problem you have identified and laying emphasis on the key solutions that you have. And please focus on giving them the details that are needed to take a decision. Within the 5 minutes that you are pitching, the investor needs to take a decision. So he doesn't need everything to take a decision. There are certain key things that will help him to make a decision. What are they? And be specific about your investment needs. What do you need the money for? How much do you need? What are you going to spend it for? In various, if they are giving you $500,000, how are you going to spend the $500,000? You need to tell the investor. You need to break it down and buy machinery. I'm going to buy this. Don't go and say, give me $500,000 and I'll think about what I'll use it for the next time. When is the next time? The investor is not interested in that. The investor is interested in you knowing exactly what you want to use the money for, knowing the return on investment and how much, even based on your competence, are you able to manage such funding? And then prepare for questions and answers. I remember a gentleman came for a pitch session to investors, and when they asked him questions, he said, I wasn't expecting this question. So what were you expecting? What at all were you expecting? So thank you very much. And then, as I said, we are available. If you have any questions, you can send the questions to us, and then we'll get back to you. Better.
Yes, thank you very much. That was fantastic, great nuggets there and very passionately put. So if you have any questions, please put them in the chat room. We will answer all questions at the end. Thank you very much, Andrews. And Andrews is still on to answer questions. So put all your questions in the chat room. I'd like to welcome our next speaker. Our next speaker is a leading authority on the use of technology for self-paced education in Ghana. He's the founder and CEO of Ecampus LLC, co-founder of EIL and Sold App LLC. He's lectures at 2 universities, corporate training consultant in technology, computer science background. He has a BSc in entrepreneurship from GIMPA and MBA in global business sustainability from the Catholic University of Milan. And the Singularity University GSP 17 alumni at NASA Research Park in Silicon Valley, California. Welcome, Cecil, and I'll hand over to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, and hello to everyone. Great to have almost 42 people on this call. That's impressive. Thank you so much for the opportunity. So I will be sharing my screen. So we do a very brief walkthrough slide. And thank you, Andrew. Thank you for the quick presentation. You know, I've known Andrew for a long time now, and I think most of the things he's saying are valid, and I'll advise that we take them seriously. All right. Let me try and. Okay, good. So I'm basically going to be talking from my experiences, you know, but one rule of thumb, there is no formula for how to pitch. There is no formula. So in most of the pitch opportunities that you will get, you will realize that every investor is looking for something different. So you need to keep pitching and keep pitching till you get good at it. Over time, from experience, you know how to deal with different kinds of investors as you go along. So don't beat yourself up if your first two or even your first 10 experiences go bad. Don't beat yourself up. It's normal. For those of you who are married, I don't think it was the first 3 girlfriends you sold your story to that married you. So what's the big deal? It's just like that. Getting an investor is like trying to get married. You know what I mean? It's a long-term relationship you're going to have with the investor. So it's not every lady you go out there and propose to, or it's not every man there you go out to propose to just jumps and walk the aisle with you. So you move on and you get used to it. Now, like Andrew said, you need to tell a story. That it cannot be overemphasized. You need to be able to tell a story, a very passionate story for that matter. Now, in storytelling, take it as you trying to tell a story to a 3-year-old. You don't want to bore them with too much details. You don't want to bore them with technicalities, you know, because right now I just want to pick my little boy from school. He's 3. That we come in and he's like, okay, the moon and the stars are not up. And I'm like, yeah, it's just 3 p.m. so they will not be up. Then I'm like, okay, that's because the sun is shining, so you cannot see the moon and the stars. Then I realized, no, it's actually the position of the planet now on the axis. I'm like, how do I tell that to a 3-year-old? So I'm like, okay, you know, the earth is going round. So sometimes the sun will not shine at some parts. I was like, okay, is that why the clouds also go around? And I'm like, yeah, so that's why. So the moon is actually still there, but just that because now our side is facing the sun, we cannot see the moon. I hope he got it. But technically, if we should go into, astronomy and physics and stuff, I probably didn't say anything. But at least to him, I've told him a story. And I don't know how long this story is going to stay with him for the rest of his life. See the investor like my 3-year-old. He needs a very brief, simple story. And I bet you, before he sleeps today, he's probably going to ask me more questions about this story I told him. And that's what you're looking for. You want the investor to get back to you for more details. It's like you have to hook them on with a very brief story that keeps ringing in their head. And they go like, no, I want to know more. Okay, so what happened? What about this? Once you get that kind of feedback, you get that kind of engagement, then you know your pitch went well. All right. So that leads me to the next thing that you should manage properly when pitching. Look, manage your expectations. I beg you. If you don't manage your expectations, you're going to get demoralized. You're probably going to get depressed. You're probably going to give up. Manage your expectations, you know? So I'll walk you through this diagram here. I think it's a cartoon thing, right? So here, your boss tells you you're fired, all right? That's not what you were expecting when you came to work, all right? Then a few minutes later, he comes out, no, okay, no, you're no more fired, but I'm actually going to give you a 2% raise in salary. Is that okay? So you realize that the boss has played very smart here by putting you in a position that you didn't expect. You thought you were going home. That was the end. Then comes back for a 2% raise. The likelihood of you saying yes are higher because you go, oh, a moment ago I was losing my job. Now I'm getting 2%. And if you look at it clearly, you could have actually negotiated for 20%. But because he gave you that whole you are fired, gimmick, throw you out of proportion, blow your expectations away, you probably settled for a 2% raise. So this entrepreneurial journey, from my experience, is all about managing expectations, whether it's your employees, your investors, your partners. It's all about managing expectations, and that's very important. So if you can manage your expectations, the chances are you will not get disappointed quickly. A lot of things will go well for you, and then you should be fine. So maybe 3 things you should probably prepare for, right? 3 questions. So when you are done pitching, mostly I kind of like the guys who go like thanks but no thanks, because he's made it clear. Yeah, cool. I am not interested at this moment. So it helps you not to think too far. Then the second guys who say, oh, thanks, but have you figured out that they give you a list of things? Have you figured out your market size? Have you figured out your net present value? Have you figured out your discounted ratio? Have you explored M&As? They're going to bombard you. Those guys are great, but then that means you need to be extra prepared. And of course, you don't need to answer all the questions, but you need to have an idea of what they're asking you. Then there's the third guy who go like, oh, thanks, I'm all in. What do you need? That's the most difficult one. That is the most difficult one, because then you go like, okay, I need $1 million. Okay, so how does that work? The issues of your valuation. How come you need $1 million for 10%? And that becomes a very technical conversation going forward. So your chances are you're going to get all 3 of this if you're pitching to more than 3 or 4 investors. Some will just say, it's okay, no thanks. Some will be like, okay, I'm in, but I need you to give me more details. And some go like, look, I'm all in. What do you need? Where do we start from? You need to be prepared for all these scenarios. Now, the idea is not to get them to act immediately. It is not possible, because you have top 5 minutes and then Q&As, maybe another 5 minutes. So the real expectation here, which is the goal, is to initiate a relationship you can nurture going forward. That should be the main thing. You meet the guy in the elevator, you have 1 minute, you blow him up with a story. He goes like, wow, this is interesting. I'd like to know more. You take his contacts and boom, you're done. That's the most successful thing you can ever do. You go for a networking event, you blow them up with your story. They go like, oh, wow, I like this. Okay, you take their contact. Then you can follow up and nurture that relationship. Half of those relationships will not go anywhere, but at least they're still in your contacts, they're in your database. You'll be surprised 10 years down the line, they come looking for you. One of our investors, right? It took Seu 5 years to actually give us money. From the first time I met him at Ashasi University. So he's been monitoring us behind the scenes, following what we're doing. We thought we had lost him. And then out of nowhere, after 5 years, he comes in, drops in money, buy up to 2% stake. So you keep those guys. When you do your newsletters, you share it among them. If you post anything interesting, copy them. You know what I mean? Just keep them in the loop so they see that, oh, even though they were not ready for you, you're still making some progress. Then maybe now they might be ready. And those guys, when they come back, they don't stress you because they already have an idea. They follow your journey for a while. So they are more confident in what you're doing, and they become your best salesman in getting you other investors to come on board. All right? So this takes me to the most important part. I think Andrew also stressed that. You need to know the investor. At least know enough to be comfortable pitching to the investor. You know, in the finance and insurance sector, they say know your customer, you know, due diligence. You need to do your due diligence on the investor. The same way they're also doing due diligence on you. Because, you know, from my experience, some of the things I've realized is entrepreneurs are too quick to assume that the investor is coming to save them. Without the investor, nothing happens. No, sometimes you need to pause and begin to think that the investor needs you. Without you, the investor cannot grow his money from $1 million to $100 million. So you both need each other. One doesn't need the other more than the other. Because without the entrepreneur, the investor needs to find somewhere else to put the money. Without the investor, the entrepreneur might not scale at the speed at which they want to scale. So go into these conversations with some level of confidence and be sure that, look, I am bringing you value. But you can only have that confidence if you do these background checks. At least know their background. Check them out on LinkedIn. Check them out. Just Google their name. Something will pop up. They probably they granted an interview recently, and they were talking about what kind of entrepreneurs they are looking out for, what kind of sectors they are investing in. So they're actually telling you everything. They probably went to comment on something on Facebook. You read about it. So you get an idea of who this guy is. Then you start digging up. If they are very active investors, they probably have invested in previous investments that are all over the place. So you get to know, okay, these are the kind of organizations they invest in. You check those organizations, their website out. Check who are the founders of those organizations. Try and do some background check. You'll be surprised. You need only 3-4 people to connect you to those guys that have already raised money from this investor. They get to tell you insider story, oh, this guy, this is how he is. If you go, don't mention this, he will ask you this. So you're already arming yourself before you get there. You also need to know what stage at which they invest. Some of them, they invest at pre-seed, seed, growth stage, scale. So if you are nurturing an idea at an MVP level where you need like way pre-seed, there is no point talking to an investor who is doing what scale. It's just a mismatch. And then you just go and, feel embarrassed, but it's not your fault just because you didn't know that he wasn't your kind of investor. Another important thing that has really helped us is commitment levels. So from experience, I prefer your time, your availability than your money. I prefer your network. I prefer you picking up the phone to call some MD or CEO of the largest cocoa processing company for me to have an appointment with him and start building a relationship to your money. From my experience. Of course, when I started, we all thought money would solve all the problems. But when you start getting further, you realize it's not really about money, it's about relationships. So how committed is this investor going to be? So now you know the previous investments they've done, you know his background. All right. So you can tell that, okay, those he invested in, does he even sit in board meetings? If the entrepreneur hit the wall, can he just pick a phone and call him? I can do that with any of my investors. I can just pick the phone and call David Ofosudote and like, David, look, this one, I've hit the wall. These are legal things. I don't understand anything. He goes like, breathe in, take your time. Let me walk you through. And within 5 to 10 minutes, I feel like I'm a super lawyer. I need that. Of course, in addition to the money, but I need that more. So you need to be very careful. And then if you're looking at an investor that you are more interested in their commitment, then you should be sure or convinced that their background relates to your industry. So if I'm in EdTech, I would prefer most of my investors to have ideas around EdTech, have ideas around the industries I'm selling to, financial sector, insurance sector, right? Mostly the regulated sectors, that's where we sell compliance. So Kweku, for example, is the head of compliance and training at HSBC Bank in London. He's been investing in our business since 2015. So I need him beyond that. Sometimes when we have to prepare assessment questions for anti-money laundering for some of the banks in Ghana, he helps out in generating those questions that we'll go and put in the system to sell. So that level of commitment is awesome if you can work towards that. That's important. And then investment amount that they are willing to do. Some investors, they say they do below 50,000. Some do below 10,000. So if you don't know this and you go and throw $100,000 at them, that might be a bit embarrassing to them. So they're just going to switch off. All right. And expected returns. Investors will tell you, okay, when I give you my money, I want 10x in 5 years' time. I want 5x in 2 years' time. Is that realistic with your business model? Can you achieve that? Don't just follow the money, because we had to do that in 2017 when we were in Silicon Valley. We had a lot of like 2-3 great investment firms wanted to do $2 million at our $3 million valuation at the time. Clearly, we were not ready for that kind of money. So we said so.
Can we mute our mics, please? Please, let's mute our mics. Nokia C1, please mute your mic.
Okay, doing just that.
Okay, all right. And then the return they wanted was, I think, 7x. And there was no way we could do that. So we walked away from $2 million. It sounds crazy. We did that. In 2015, we had to walk away from $10 million from Advertech, who proposed to, acquire eCampus at the time. Had to walk away. So it's not really about the money per se. You need to be very clear. And if you check all these things and you know your investor, you might not even mention money in your pitch. You rather mention the commitments. Oh, I'm looking for introductions to 10 savings and loans companies in 6 countries in Africa, because that guy serves on 3 boards of savings and loans companies. That's easy for him to do. And once he introduces you to that, you'll be able to get what? Revenue. All right? So things like that are very important. Now that you've dig up your investor, you have an idea, so the goal here is to know enough to be comfortable pitching the investor. When you know people, you can predict their reaction, you know what kind of questions to ask. You look more confident, more calm, and you don't talk too much, and then you get some results. So that's important. Now that you've done that, tell your story. And that's important. So in telling your story, now you have some background or some info about the investor. So you need to tweak your story to sound appealing to him or her based on their background. Because I'm not saying change the story. You cannot change the story. But then based on the information you have on the investor, you can tweak or paraphrase your storyline to get his undivided attention. Like, for example, the example I gave that maybe he serves on 3 boards of savings and loans companies. So then your story should go around where his comfort zone is, where his interests are, where he's more passionate about. Then you can get his undivided attention because you got only 5 minutes. So it is very important to get this background, to now tweak your original story, tweak it to now suit his environment so that he's hearing what he wants to hear. Then he can have his undivided attention. All right? That's important. Now, in telling your story or tweaking it, there are some cornerstones that you cannot ignore them. They need to pop up in your story. You don't necessarily have to follow any arrangement that maybe value proposition should come first, or revenue should come first, or traction should come first. Because in telling a story, the story has to flow naturally. You should see a beginning, and even get into the middle. The listener or the one you're telling the story to should be able to start imagining how the end might look like. It's like watching a movie, a series. You can already anticipate season 2, what will likely be the outcome, just because of how they've arranged the scenes and arranged the storyline. So with all this, there's no formula. You can choose to start your story from your exit strategy, which is very important to a lot of investors. So the exit strategy is the same thing as what? The expected returns. So maybe they want in 5 years, they want to exit your company or sell back the shares to you or sell it to somebody else. That's just a fancy word they give it. Exit your company. They gave you 1 million, they want to exit at 10 million. So in 5 years, if your company has made enough revenue, generates enough value, and it's got it to 10 million, they're going to sell and walk away with 10 million. They've exit. Or the exit strategy you can look at is, okay, you want to list on the stock exchange, do an IPO, so they can what? Maybe make 20x. Or you're going to do a merger, you merge with another company, or you will let a bigger company acquire you. You need to study all these exit strategies. It's important to do that now before you get closer to investors trying to exit, because then it becomes a very complicated conversation. Spend time to understand exits and know which one is favorable to you. At eCampus, we are leaning more towards measures and acquisition and then an IPO. So if we're unable to do an IPO, then we'll consider merging up with a bigger or 3 or 4 companies so we become bigger enough to do an IPO. And if you want to exit by selling to an individual, we have the first refusal, the company has the first refusal to buy those shares back. And this has been documented and it's clear to every investor that's coming. It's very important. It can cause a lot of trouble, even between you and your co-founders. You need to pay attention to your exits. So those are stories when you are very clear on it, the investor feels more comfortable. They're like, okay, when that time comes, you're not going to say, they came and they twist your hand and now they've taken majority of your company. They know there are not going to be any emotions because everything is clear. Now, value proposition, like Andrew said, you need to be able to say it in just one sentence, at least, so that it is clear what at all are your customers going to pay. So your value proposition is very important, and that should be in your story, and then your team, very critical, your team, because for us, Ecampus has gotten where we are mainly because of our team. And I'll be honest with you, our value proposition has evolved over time. It has evolved over time. The value proposition I used to join the MBA in 2013 is not the same value proposition we're using now. As you grow and evolve and scale, so does your value proposition also. And so does your team. And then the next important thing, which Andrew was stressing, which he termed it market opportunity. I'm calling it the size of the market size. Market size is important to investors because it gives them an idea of how many X times they can exit. So if you have a market size of 1.3 billion people, maybe thanks to the after, right? So now we are 1.3 billion market across the continent. That gives an idea that, okay, if we can pump in $100 million and scale across the entire continent, and we get even 50% of the $1.3 billion market, this is how much money we can make. So it gives them some hope and some final destination. So that's why market size is important. And then you then narrow down to tell them the niche you are going to start with before starting to scale to hopefully absorb the entire market. So that's important. So that's to the left side of my screen. These things are very important. And then if the right side, when you get the left side right, then you can start having the right side. If your value proposition is not solid, your team is not solid, you have no clear indication of your market size and how it's segmented and where to start from, it's difficult to get traction. It's almost impossible to gain traction. And revenue is like a mirage. It will never come. And nobody's going to give you money. It's as simple as that. Because without your value proposition, how will customers even download the app or even do pre-orders for you to see that I'm getting traction? Maybe it's honey you are selling. You've given out your value proposition on social media. And you're telling people to pre-order for the first batch that will be ready in 6 months. And then in 1 week, you go off 4 million pre-orders. That's a huge traction. Everybody's going to call you and give you money, even with zero revenue, right? But if you cannot give that value, and that value needs to be created with your team. If you cannot give that, how are you going to get a traction? And traction will then convert to revenue. And with revenue, investors are more comfortable to give you money because they know you are not going to use their money to pay salaries. You are not going to use their money to pay light bill, to pay taxes. They want you to use the money to grow the business. So the little revenue that's coming, you can use that to pay the taxes, pay the salaries, run the operations to create more value. So those are the dynamics of the left and the right side of the cornerstone. But you see where I put the exit strategy? That's the base. Because if we are not clear on how things are going to end between us, then it's a dangerous road. Very dangerous road. It has to be clear, very clear that, look, when we get to the end of my journey with you, this is how we are going to pathway in a civilized manner, in a very professional manner, no emotions, no backbiting, no crying on the internet, no. If they don't see that, most investors won't give you their money. So this is a very important slide. I hope I'll share it and then you can take and ask more questions later. Now, when you get this right, you get your cornerstone right, and you're able to tell a story to capture everything nicely, then you're just going to shut up. Like after the 5 minutes, just shut up and get hungry for feedbacks. Get hungry for feedback. No, mostly at that moment, I pull out my phone and I turn on the recorder, and any feedback is feedback. Don't attach your emotions to feedbacks. It will not help you. Like, just ignore. It is not about you. You are not building the product for yourself. You are not building it to use by yourself. You are building for them to use, their children to use, and their friends to use. That's why they are even more, they might even be interested in investing in you. So why emotional and personal about their feedback? They're just going to walk away, because then if they become investors and we go for board meetings and they are giving you critical and hard true feedback, and you're going to get emotional and walk away and get angry. No. That's not professional. So be hungry for feedback. And the important things of being hungry for feedback? That's the goal. You use your feedbacks as the basis for your follow-ups. Okay, I met you at a cocktail. We just spoke. Hello, that's it. I got your number. Now I want to follow up. Then there is nothing to base the follow-up on. Oh, hello, I was the one you met standing by the table in the corner. Like, really, nobody wants to hear that. But it's oh, you remember we met at this cocktail event? And then you gave me this wonderful feedback on trying to let students set their own pass rate before they start using the app. We've done an MVP for it. Do you want to test it? Then you share the link with him. That's a cool way of getting back to the big man that the secretary would never allow you to have a meeting with. So take the feedback and use it as your key to get back to these people and get more feedback, and eventually they build confidence in you and give you their money, or introduce you to other people who are more ready to give you money, introduce you to other people who will be willing to help you get revenue, get contracts. People who help you get contracts. Investors don't only give you money. Ask them to connect you to their friends who need services that you provide, so you get contracts, so you can get revenue. And with revenue, more investors will chase you. So that's very important. I'll end with a quote from my board chairman. Eric is one of the very active investors in the tech space across Africa. And we are very proud to have him as our board chair. He joined the Ecampus family as far back as 2009. Was one of the first people who saw some value in what we're doing and started investing quickly. That time we didn't even know what we're doing. This is what he always tells us. The best time to pitch investors for funding or investments is when you don't need the money. When you don't need the money. Because once you need the money, you become desperate. You become desperate, you become emotional. And it will show all over your face. Your confidence goes down. Your passion becomes exaggerated. And these guys are smart. They can read in between the body language, and that's it. Because you are pitching out of desperation. But when you don't need the money, you have a bit of runway. Let's say you've got some revenue, you've already raised some seed from your friends and family, and you have about 6 months to 1 year of runway. That's where you start raising money. Because when they say no, there are no emotions. It's not going to affect your monthly bills. It's not going to affect your R&D. So you are more confident. You can be firm and continue the conversation later. You talk less because you're not desperate. Right? Back to my opening example. For the males here, the first time you're dating the lady, you saw how they were. They kind of like they're not interested. They're not in a hurry. You are desperate, so then you get to do things that you're not supposed to do at the time. But when you get married, and then the man now becomes a bit more relaxed, because you're the investor now. I've invested, so now I'm chill and I'm giving you instructions. You need to do this. Hey, I invested. Hey, it's my money. Hey, do this. Then now you realize the entrepreneur, and this time in this example, your wife become like, come on, you also need to help. You also need to help. What do you need? Hey. That is between an entrepreneur and an investor. So when you are too desperate in the beginning and the investor comes on board, get ready for doing all the house chores and all the up and down, and he's probably not going to be more committed. But when you are not desperate and they see that, no, you understand the value you're offering them, you're giving an opportunity to make them a billionaire if they're already millionaires, and a trillionaire when they're already billionaires. That marriage, that there is co-respect, we share the responsibility equally, Because nobody goes around and say, I brought the money, otherwise you have gotten here. There was no desperation. So go out there now that you're at the idea stage and you don't need thousands and thousands or hundreds and thousands of dollars. This is the time you need to start pitching to raise money, because you actually don't need it now. So that by the time you actually need the money, you would have built the relationship 18 months, sometimes 5 years relationship before they will give you the money. No investor will sign a check after your 5-minute speech. They will not. Thank you for your attention and give me questions. Thanks.
Right. Thank you very much. Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much. True nuggets from an expert who's been in there in the field with all the hurdles. What I caught on today was, don't get emotional. Don't get emotional. A difficult one to achieve. I mean, feedback which is negative is very hard to accept, but I think that stuck in my head. Don't get emotional. You're not doing it for yourself. You're doing it for the market that you're producing the product for. So be hungry for feedback. Thank you so much, Cecil. I would appreciate a round of applause for both our speakers who passionately shared today about how to pitch. Thank you very much. So we want to quickly move on to the question and answer session. Our time is not too great, but let's just get in there and see what questions we have. Right. What's the most integral aspect of a pitch that investors are curious about when they want to make decisions about their stake funds? I know that was addressed, but just remind us one more time the most integral aspect of a pitch that's to Dr. Andrews, investors are curious about when they want to make decisions to stake their funds.
Investors are interested in your commitment to the business, your expertise, what you bring on board, and you're also interested in the team that you have, because when the money is given to you, who are going to manage, and the sustainability of the business. So just think about these three things as the investors are taking full decisions on whether to give you money or not. Thank you.
Great. We had other questions that were talking about the model of the business. How, and if you don't have assets at the moment, how can you present value to the investor? How can you present value to the investor?
Cecil, please answer that.
So I didn't quite get it. Let me see. Is the question, I want to pitch, I don't have a business model. Is that a question? Can I get the question better so I can be?
Okay, the question was, if I don't have any assets at the moment, the business does not have any assets at the moment, how can I present business value as I pitch to the investor?
So the business has assets. You are an asset. Who says the business have an asset? You're an asset, right? So that's the first asset you have. And you still need to start documenting the amount of time and resources you put to it. All right. The electricity you use at home to get the work done, somebody paid for it. So that's expense. Your friends come and help you. If they were actually charging you money for their services, that's money that you already, so it's value that you're already building. So sometimes we kind of ignore these little things, but that's the real value. And if you can document those values and capture it and present it very well, investors get excited because they know you understand value. So you don't need, even the laptop you're using, it's an asset. It's a great asset. The internet connectivity that you pay for is an asset. All right. So look around you. Anything you use, your dad's car that you borrow to do the rounds, is an asset. It helps you get around. So if you don't have assets in the name of the business, as in, okay, the company owns this car, but you are able to spend on transportation for 1 month, how much is that in value? If every day is even $10, and you've done that for a month, which is 30 days, you've done what? $300. $300 you've spent on transportation. You are in business, you have money, you have assets, you can spend that. But it was your dad's car anyways. So the dad probably would have been renting it out to you for $10. So you need to start paying attention to those little things and put money value on them, realistic money value though, and then document them, and that becomes your value at the very early stage.
Great, thank you very much. If you have more questions, please put them in the chat. Another question that usually comes up is, I'm a layman in financial aspects. I'm not an expert in financial aspects. Just give me 2 or 3 pointers on how I can best present my financials if I'm not very good in that space.
Okay, so I didn't do finance full time. I think I did 1 semester of financial management in my first degree, and that's it. And then during the MBA, we did, I think, another module on financial management, right? And that was it. Now, don't complicate finance, all right? Make it very basic, okay? So when you have money in your pocket, let's say you have $100, it's your money, right? $100. Then you want to sell a bottle, or you want to sell a water of bottle, right? Or yeah, a bottle of water. So first you need to buy the bottle, and then you need to buy the water, and then you need to pour it into the bottle, cover it up, and sell it. All right? You have $100. So you went out to buy the water for $10. All right? Just write it down. I bought the water out of the $100 for $10. I bought a bottle for $5. And then I paid someone $2 to pour the water into the bottle and cover it. And then I paid another person $3 to go stand by the roadside and sell the water at what? $25. Now, the water you bought, the bottle you bought, and then the guy you paid to pour the water into the bottle are the cost of your goods. How much it costs you to produce the final bottle water that you want to go and sell. That's what they call the cost of goods sold. So your cost in producing what you want to sell was the $10 for the water, $5 for the bottle, and $2 for the guy who bottled it up. You get? That's it. But the guy who went to stand by the roadside to sell, that's what? Expense. That's marketing expenses. All right? So you've produced a bottle of water. Out of the $100, you spent what? I think what? $18 to produce the bottle of water. So that's your cost of goods sold. Now, when you sell the water at $25, before you even touch any of the money, you need to get back the $18 that you used to produce the water. The one you used to buy the bottle, buy the water, and pay the guy to bottle it. You need to take that one out. Then you can now take out the one you gave to the guy who went to stand by the roadside to sell, who was doing the sales and marketing. That's an expense. Then you can take out your electricity bill and all those ones. The remaining is your gross profit. And when you pay tax on the remaining, they have your net profit. It sounds simple, right?
Great.
So
Thank you very much. Thank you.
It.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Question to both of you. If I can read it well, what will help convince an investor when a business is not in force? So I guess this may be a business is not yet existing. It's an idea. And the one pitching is less skilled in that, but believes the business will solve a problem. So maybe you could just retouch on that one. How can I convince an investor that my idea will work?
You basically need to demonstrate your clear understanding of the problem you want to solve. But please, if you want to go and pitch, learn about your business, understand what you want to sell, understand the solution. It normally comes up, people keep on telling you that I don't have the skill to do this because they are refusing to learn. It's a game. I remember the first day I met Cecil and he pitched. If somebody will tell you he will even win a competition in his life, you will be shocked. But I went back, he took the feedback to learn. And if you are in Ghana, Henry Jones, my number is there. Contact me. We'll meet Cecil. He will come to campus to come and speak to students. He will do a practical session face-to-face where you'll be able to learn and then learn from his experience. So it's an opportunity for anybody who is interested. Just let us know by the chat and then we'll invite you to campus. We'll take you through. It's for free. You won't pay anything. And that is what E4Impact stands for. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So our next question, unfortunately, because of our time, we'll just, if you have any more questions, please just put them. Yes, so you can go onto our YouTube channel. You'll be able to see the presentation. If you want the slides, please contact us and we'll be able to give you the slides. Maybe a question on competitors. How best, how best is it to show that we do have a competitive advantage and we've done a thorough research on our competitors? Maybe just touch a little bit more on that, and maybe it depends on maybe touch on when, maybe if you are actually realizing that the competition is real, how best is it to respond to that competitors question?
So I've had this, in the edtech space, it's like we can count up to about what, 30 of us across the continent.
Yes, everybody's building an app every other day or a platform.
So you need to have a certain attitude towards competition. Competition it will always be there, but you need to have the right attitude towards it. So from my experience and in what we do at eCampus and my other companies, we don't call them competitors. We call them collaborators, right? We call them collaborators. We call them partners. We call them what? Co-problem solvers. You see, once you start giving them that kind of name, you are psychologically preparing yourself to be able to embrace the competition. When you use the word my competitor, you might think you are not, but psychologically, you are telling yourself that, look, these are my enemies. They're coming to take my cake. I need to find out something and dig up them. No. First, change that attitude. Begin to see them as collaborators, as co-problem solvers. That will push you to make your value proposition or to make your problem big enough to absorb everybody. So if you make your problem, the problem you're trying to solve, if you make it big enough, you realize that most of your so-called competitors are actually helping you solve portions of the problem along the way. Once you focus on your value niche, and then you build across. So if you can scale quickly, the chances are, I tell my investors, if we put in $1 million, in 18 months, we can acquire 3 or 4 of my co-problem solvers. So we grow faster. So they know that, okay, with $1 million, in 18 months, we'll probably be making what, 40 million. If we offer $500,000 to my co-problem solver, who is struggling at what, 200,000 in revenue, they'll jump at it. And that co-problem solver, you already have collaborations with them. I'll give you an example. At eCampus, we don't see anything wrong with what? We telling people their strengths and weaknesses when they take assessments on topics and then referring them to what? Eneza video content to go and watch. We are solving a bigger problem. The fact that our video is not ready doesn't mean the learner shouldn't learn. Whilst Eneza have that video. So you recommend, but I know what happens when you recommend to Eneza, you get a commission. So instead of losing all the revenue and making $0, you've probably made what? $2. Instead of maybe if you had your own video, you'd have made $5. But by refusing to collaborate and seeing them as competitors, you made $0. So I'll leave it like that.
Wow. Thank you very much. I'm looking for more questions. Our time has really gone today, but I want to thank you once again to our speakers today. I appreciated the passion. I appreciated the stories coming from your heart. where you really shared how to get the job done as you pitch to investors. We want to thank you very much for rounding off this second cycle of our Innovation Boot Camp. And definitely we will have you back on again. So thank you very much all the way from Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for joining us this evening and making an effort to respond to the call. And if you have any more questions for Andrews and Cecil, please don't hesitate to contact us, and we will be able to forward your questions and let the conversations carry on. We are back next week once again, where we look at the business model and we carry on sharing more nuggets with expert speakers who are able to help us build sustainable business models, build a strong story, as you were told, build a story that has impact and that solves a problem that is unique, as Andrew says, that you know that it'll blow away the investor. You come through and listen to how you pitch, and we will carry on sharing and transferring knowledge, which is our passion. So join us next week. Thank you very much. And once again, if you're in Ghana, contact Andrews. If you are, and go on our social media, Unene in South Africa, Egypt, Ghana, all these faculties, universities, St. Mary's universities in Ethiopia, in Rwanda, University of Rwanda, Eswatini Amadi University. New editions are coming up. If you're not in these countries, please don't hesitate to go to our social media platforms and get more information on our programs. We'll catch you next week. Please stay safe. Good night and good afternoon or good morning to you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Bye.